All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Astrology Hub Podcast. This is a very special edition episode. As you know, we're doing a series of interviews for helping you to get ready for 2022. And we are having our free 2022 forecast panel coming up in December. But there will be 12 astrologers on, and we'll be having lots of amazing dialogue. And then there's some deep dives that we're doing on this series so we can go really deep into the astrology of 2022. And I am so happy to be here today with Divine Harmony to do one of those deep dives with all of you. Harmony is also going to be one of 4 astrologers featured on our upcoming USA Pluto return webinar panel. So it's going to be Divine Harmony, Adam Gainsbourg, Rick Levine, and Michael Bryan. And we're going to be going all in on the USA Pluto return and the fate of the United States, which we know 2022 is a huge year for the United States. But so Harmony and I are going to pan out today and talk about the big astrology of next year. And then on November 12th, you're going to get to go deep into the USA Pluto return. That event is open for registration now. You can go to astrologyhub.com/USA Pluto return to reserve your spot for that event happening next Friday. Again, that's Harmony, Rick Levine, Adam Gainsbourg, Michael Bryan. They're going to be doing short presentations on how they're interpreting the USA Pluto return. Then we're going to be taking audience questions and having some dialogue, potentially some debate between the astrologers. We'll see. Lots of different ways to view it. And there's going to be some cool downloads that go along with that event. It's a premium webinar, so go check it out. See if you want to join us. We'd love to have you. For the next 30 minutes or so, we have Harmony here to go into 2022. I keep saying 22. Like it's hard for me to say 2022. So we're going to be talking about the theme that she's seeing, the biggest transits that she has her eye on, and how we can be preparing now for what's to come. So let's start there, Harmony. I'm so happy you're here. Thanks for joining us.
Me too. Thank you.
Actually, let me just say one more thing. If you're new to Divine Harmony, you can check her out. We've done lots of podcast episodes with her. She's been an inner circle guide with us several times. She's been a teacher on this platform for many years, almost from the beginning of Astrology Hub. You can go to podcast episode 185, where we talk about anchoring the age of Aquarius. You can go to podcast episode 299, where we talk about embodied astrology. Or you can go to episode 84, which is all about Eris. So lots of good stuff from Harmony. And let's start with the theme. So what are you seeing as the theme for 2022?
So next year, there's a couple things. And for me, the overall energy that I get or the message is just, we need to slow down. Like when the world is speeding up, and there's definitely going to be more of that next year, not necessarily the same as 2020 and 21. But there's definitely a lot of activation. We're going to have Uranus on the North Node. We're going to have 2 powerful eclipses activating Uranus. The nodes are actually going to trigger the Saturn-Uranus square, which was exact in 2021, isn't exact anymore next year, but it's still separating out. And so it still comes close, and the nodes will trigger it when it's close. So we still have some of that energy in next year. And for me, I just keep getting this message of like, find your center, ground down into the earth. Like when the winds of change are blowing, don't get blown with it. Like find the practices that bring you deeper into your body, deeper into connection with the earth. Also, as a side note, when you're grounded and more connected to your body and the earth, you're also more connected to your intuition, which is going to be really important as a guiding force for you about, what decision should you make? Which direction should you go? And there's a lot of Pisces next year that I'm actually quite excited about because I'm very Piscean and Neptunian. We have Jupiter in Pisces. We have Jupiter conjunct Neptune in April. Actually, there'll be a triple conjunction of Venus, Jupiter, and Neptune end of April, I think the 27th through the 30th, which is so lovely. The 2 benefics, right? The lesser benefic Venus, the greater Jupiter, Venus in her sign of exaltation, Jupiter in rulership. linking together, and phenomenal, intuitively, mystically, compassionately, artistically. But one of the things about the Pisces energy, and I know this one myself, is that you got to be grounded. Otherwise, that energy tends to float and just kind of want to go up and out and be transcendent, but not imminent. Be, all light and love and live from the heart chakra up. And then the lower body is not being inhabited or dealt with or, embodied. And so, yeah, the message I get, and even when you add to 2022, it goes up to a 6, which is, I don't know if you look at the tarot cards for the years, but that's the Lover's card. And the Lover's card is literally a card of a choice or possibly a crisis. And there's this opportunity for integration and union, or we could stay divided. And so for me, the Lover's card is like, where are we divided, within or without? So within our own body and spirit, our own masculine and feminine, but also without. We saw a lot of division in the last several years, because when we're divided, we have less power. We can't be empowered when we're divided because we're actually not whole. So, when I was just looking at all the astrology, I just kept hearing like, ground down, slow down. Like, even we start the year off with Venus retrograde, and this is a powerful Venus retrograde. Lest you think that we're done with the Pluto Eris square now that the last one was October 8th. Venus triggers it 3 times. I mean, she triggers Pluto Eris December 7th through 11th. She goes retrograde on the 19th. She triggers it again the 25th, Christmas for anybody who celebrates, to the 30th. And then she stations direct January 29th, and then she'll trigger those 2 again. I think it's February 27th to March 3rd of 2022. So literally December to March, we have big triggers of the Pluto Eris square, with Venus, the goddess, in Capricorn. And the message I've been getting is, what else do I need to deconstruct that's patriarchal inside of myself? How I live my life, how I run my business, how I'm a workaholic sometimes, how I like, I'm just like literally in this space of, I need to come into a better balance with my body and pleasure and play. Not just, it's hard when your work is your calling, because it's like you'll do it 80 hours a week and you love it, but you also have to find balance. And so, I think the Pisces energy that's so present next year will be very beautiful and gifted if we're grounding it. Otherwise, we could use it to just escape more. And, that's not going to serve.
Okay. So one question for you. I mean, I have a lot of questions for you, but one question right now, when you talk about, so the question, what else do I need to deconstruct that's patriarchal? And that is based on the Eris Pluto square and Venus activating that and triggering in Capricorn, Venus in Capricorn, triggering that. What do you mean by patriarchal? Because I'm sure I've had you define this before, but I think it's really important because the word gets thrown around and then it comes to be associated with men, which is just not what we want to do. So I'd love to hear how you define that and what aspects of ourselves that we are looking at specifically when we ask that question.
Yeah. So patriarchal and matriarchal definitely have association with father line, mother line. And so historically, like when you look at the yang masculine energy, its energy is to go after, to conquer, to make happen, to take action. Whereas the yin, more feminine energy, which is not men or women, because we all have both, is receptive. It's more relational. Whereas that yang energy is like, I'm going to go out and get a goat for dinner or get some berries if you're vegan like me. the feminine yin part of ourselves brings that back and shares it with everyone. So the inherent energy of the feminine, or the matriarchal energy, is more relational. And if you just think of a mother, she sacrifices her body for 9 months to have a baby, and then she nurses the baby and she raises the baby, and the life of a mother is all about sacrifice for your little ones. And historically, before we had what we have today, like, women would band together and they would do things together. They were more community oriented, whereas the men would go out and they would, or the masculine, beings would go out and they'd hunt and they'd do their warrior thing. And so patriarch is the father kind of yang energy, where it's about power and success and climbing up that ladder and making things happen. But it can be at the expense of relationships, of emotions and dealing with them and acknowledging them, of, and literally these two actually are the yin and the yang. They're two sides of the same coin. The problem is we've been in a society that is over exalted the patriarchal, work hard, climb up the ladder, stuff your emotions, plow through things, and we've negated the other side. And so the patriarchy, for me, that's internalized, is in all of us. It's what we've grown up with. It's what we've, for millennia. And so for me, I'll just speak from my own perspective, but I'm really like tuning into all the things that I do, like, because I'm supposed to, or that's what is expected of me, or that's what women should do, mothers should do, someone of my ethnicity and the family lines I'm from. It's just like all these shoulds and ways of being in life. Even I actually had talks recently with some moms, particularly single moms, because I'm a single mother, and just all the things we do as a single mother on top of having a career, and then like the depletion that can happen as a result of juggling a million balls, and it's just like, I'm in this place of reconstructing, like, what does it mean for me to show up in the world, and where am I doing things in ways, even I'm in this whole deepening journey with my own body, and it's, a lifetime journey, but just even noticing the ways I override my body. Like, I'll be at my computer writing and I'll be in a flow and downloads coming in and I'm typing away, and then all of a sudden I notice, like, I'm hunched and my back hurts and I'm hungry, but I've been overriding it for like an hour, just sitting there, because I've been so inspired and having stuff come in. I want to get it out and get it on, written out. But then I've just completely negated my body, my feelings, my needs. Maybe I don't go exercising that day because I've got too much to do. Like, so I'm just, this is how it's showing up for me. I think each of us have different ways that would show up. Maybe it's, someone doing a job where they make a lot of money, but they hate it and they're miserable, and that's the patriarchy in them. Or somebody is in a relationship where they're really unhappy and, but they're staying together because of money, or I don't know, all the shoulds that get handed down, that we're told this is what you need to do to be safe and secure. Mm-hmm. And then Uranus comes into Taurus and turns it all upside down. And it's just like, and we're halfway through that. That's actually, I wrote this article. I was going to bring it up. I referenced the article. It's on my website. But Uranus is crossing this year the 15th degree of Taurus. And the 15 degrees of the fixed signs are the cross quarter points, the solar gateways. And the fixed cross is connected to the royal fixed stars. And the royal fixed stars used to all be in fixed signs in Western astrology. But as of 2012, when Regulus precessed into Virgo, they're all immutable now. And I actually wrote this whole article about how we need a new mythology. We're shifting from fixed to mutable. Fixed, in our position, blinders on, only seeing this, to mutable, being able to see both sides. And be able to be with duality, and moving from even the four fixed sign, whatever totems, like the Taurus bull, the Leo lion, the Scorpio eagle, but also scorpion, and then the Aquarius man. We're moving from this animal nature and man nature to Gemini twins, Virgin, Virgo, the virgin, who's a pregnant virgin. So she's got a dualistic aspect. She's a virgin, but she's pregnant. The Sagittarius centaur, who's part horse, part man. And then the two Pisces fishes. All of them represent dualities, and they're held together in one, image, one archetype. So I feel like we need a whole new mythology. And you see this, like I went to France and like all these chapels had like the bull, the lion, the eagle, the man, and it was representing these fixed stars, these royal fixed stars. Well, they're now immutable. And we need a new mythology. And notice that the mutable, it's the divine feminine, that's the human aspect too. And that's important. I think I'm not the only one saying this. The Dalai Lama said this, but there's definitely gonna be and needs to be a rise in female leaders and beings who honor the feminine within themselves. Because that principle is completely devalued and we're completely out of balance. And it's got everything to do with the state of the world right now.
Okay, so some of the things I'm hearing, some of the themes I'm like pulling out as you're speaking, we're talking about this Piscean energy, which is enabling us to be in more, it's asking us to be in more of a intuitive state. And that in order to do that in a way that's healthy and productive, we need to be on the ground. Like we need to have our feet on the ground. We need to be in our bodies. We need to be like occupying our own space so that it's not that sort of like, let's just leave and, and be distracted and or addictive or other things that we can do to not have to like actually feel what we're feeling. Right. And that to me is, when you're talking about this patriarchal energy, the way that one very specific, and I think I've said this on the podcast, but what I noticed in me, the patriarchy in me was around this idea of control. And that control would come in when I was afraid that somebody else might make me feel something I didn't want to feel. So if people were doing things or a situation was happening that was brewing, and I could anticipate that the results of that situation would bring up pain for me, or would bring up fear in me, or it would make me feel like, out of control in my life, that I tried to control the situation so I didn't have to feel that. So, but what I'm hearing you say is that this Piscean energy, when we have it anchored on the ground, we're not afraid to feel what we're feeling. We're not afraid to experience what we're experiencing. And in that, we can embody more of this feminine quality and use the masculine qualities of like creating a structure or a space or a container in a healthy way. I mean, there's always like the healthy expression of all these energies, right? So there's a way that we can do it. But if we're afraid to feel anything, and if we think it's not okay to feel things, and if we think we don't have time to feel things, and if we think it's too scary to feel things, then we're going to do all these, false things to try and manipulate our environment so that we don't have to, right?
Yep. It's true. It's so true. And that was a beautiful insight.
Oh my gosh, it was so powerful. I couldn't, and then I looked out into the world and I saw how much that's happening, and I went, oh wow, and that's been alive in me. Like, and it was a very innocent sort of like a request in me of other people to behave the way that I wanted them to behave, so I didn't have to feel what I was feeling. It was coming from an innocent place, but I could see the distortion in it. And then I could see how it plays out in so many ways in humanity. Like we all do it a lot. So, okay. So then I also am hearing you talk about this move from a real fixed energy. So we're no longer on the fixed royal stars. We're on now mutable royal stars. Are they even royal stars anymore?
Yeah, they're still the four watchers of the directions. They're the sacred royal stars, and it's Antares, Aldebaran, Regulus, and Fomalhaut. And in Western tropical astrology, they're all in mutable signs now.
And they used to be fixed. So we used to say the fixed stars, but now we're saying
we would call it the fixed cross.
the fixed cross.
Because
Okay.
it's the cross of royal stars. They're all, there's one in, they're almost, I mean, Fomalhaut and Regulus are opposite each other by like 3 degrees, and Aldebaran and Antares are opposite each other by about 3 degrees, and they form a fixed cross.
A fixed cross.
Or a cross. They form a cross, but now it's mutable.
Okay, got it. Okay, so in that, we're moving from like this way or that way, like things are, it's like either this or that, and it's very clear, and it's fixed in that, to a mutable, being able to hold a lot of possibilities, a lot of perspectives. It's very Gemini, right? Like to be able to hold, yeah,
to hold
exactly.
paradox. I mean, you know, even Carl Jung talked about how like integration and individuation, it is necessary for us to be able to hold paradox. And I don't remember who said this, but I learned this quote a while ago, like the mark of an educated man is to entertain an idea without having to refute or accept it. Like can you hear black and white, yes and no, this and that, and then not latch on to one of them? Can you be with both?
You know, I think part of it is when we have already made up our mind about, like when we've already come to a conclusion, like this is the conclusion, and now I'm going to build my reality around that conclusion, and anything that comes in and threatens that, it like shatters my whole world. You know, you see it in astrology where people, maybe they learn that their birth time was something different than they originally thought. Or they look at their chart in Vedic astrology and all of a sudden it's different, or you know, they change house systems, and it's like, oh my God, wait,
their mind.
Yeah, like, wait, I thought I was this and now I'm that. And so what I'm hearing you say is that we're needing to be able to hold space for all of it, and let all of it be okay.
Yeah. And like, I mean, even those examples you just gave, I literally just had a student in my class right now say that she just saw her Vedic chart and she's like kind of freaking out. And like, the thing is that kind of experience, it can be scary or destabilizing, but that same kind of energy can also be exciting and like, oh my gosh, you know, it's like your mind just gets blown open, and it's the same experience and almost the same energy, just getting interpreted in different ways by the brain. I like that mind exploding experience. I find that fun.
Yeah, well, and there's a playfulness in that, and there's a sense of adventure in that, and those are also things that can be hard to cultivate unless we feel safe enough to do that, right? Yes. And okay, so
which is the grounding into the lower body, by the way. Like, you know, we can find safety even amidst insanity when we're like grounded, when we're like resourcing ourselves, you know. So yes.
Great point. Yes. Okay, so what else are you looking at for 2022 that we should have our eye on?
Well, so we start the year with Venus retrograde. We end the year with Mars retrograde, which is fascinating. You know, the Venus one is with the Pluto Eris square. The Mars one, interestingly, is in the Orion constellation, stations retrograde at the gate of man opposite the gate of God, which is the galactic center is the gate of God, and the anti-galactic center is the gate of man. I actually think that a more ancient understanding of these gates was the gate of the father and the gate of the mother. I don't think it was God and man, because the one is the birthing gate and the one is going back out and dying. So we come into being human and then we go back out through the gates. Anyhow, so Mars with Orion is going to be interesting because, I mean, I'm going to get a little out here, but maybe, have you heard of like the Orion Wars? Have you heard of like the galactic hundreds of thousands of years ago? You haven't heard this stuff. Okay.
I haven't. Have you guys? I haven't heard of the Orion Wars.
I bet you some have. I mean, anyhow, so there's this thought that we've had many civilizations and other planets many times. This is not the only one. and that we're repeating some of the karma that happened back in the time of Orion, when there was a lot of battling for supremacy and doing things for power that destroyed planets and destroyed environments. And sounds like a similar story. We can also go back to just Atlantis on this planet 13,000 years ago or whatever, similar story. And the thing is, the stories repeat because we're all reincarnating and trying to learn the lessons so we can stop the storyline and, move into a new direction. So Mars, the warrior, who's all about war, but also taking action and, moving forward, stationing retrograde in Orion on the gate of man. To me, this is going to be a very big Mars retrograde. And it's the end of the year. It's October 30th, 2022 is when he stations retrograde. And he doesn't go direct until the beginning of 2023. But having the divine feminine Venus retrograde at the start and divine masculine Mars at the end, and then having it be the year of the lovers, which if you look at the lovers card, there's the man and the woman and then the angel above them. For me, there's just a lot of deep territory here for where is there division and a split? Where is our own inner feminine and inner masculine battling each other or not connecting, not relating in a healthy way? For me as a woman, as a feminine identified woman, my feminine is something I, identify with more, but my masculine is still also a part of me. And it's like, I've had times, I've been working on this for a long time in my Jungian therapy and stuff, but it's just like really feeling into, does my inner masculine hold space for my feminine when she needs to just relax and surrender and not do 100 things and be the one that has to control everything and be the, the one that's supporting everyone and everything? Like how do I have my inner masculine support my inner feminine? This could also be, dynamics in outer life between men and women or in relationship. So there's that. And then of course, Uranus on the North Node is huge. That's July 26th. We're going to have 2 eclipses that are conjunct Uranus. Do I have them written down here? I thought I did. One in November and then one in, darn it, I thought I had written them down. One in, I think, November. I don't want to say the wrong date. But we still have major activation of Uranus, the rebel, the revolutionary, the great awakener. He's here to bring change, and he's bringing change in our earthy realities, in Taurus, in money, in finances, in our values, in the way we relate to the material world. I remember reading this article recently about all the shipping, things that are happening. And there was this article, Christmas might be ruined because everybody needs to buy things. And I was like, geez, isn't this an opportunity for maybe reorienting to what Christmas is really about, or whatever you celebrate about the return of the light at that time. Hanukkah, Diwali is actually today, which is a festival of light. So, it's just like, do we have to break our backs to spend all this money at Christmas just so people know we love them? Like, what does it mean to have a lot of things? Like, is that always the pinnacle of success, or is that consumerism that you've bought into, which is also patriarchy? So it's, I don't know. I just feel like we're going to be given a lot of opportunities to reconsider the way we've always done things. And I think that's really necessary because the way we've always done things has led us to where we are now. Mm. And we definitely need some big changes. Yeah.
Okay. Question for you. I know we have limited time today, but I just want to ask one question about Uranus. So you're saying Uranus on the North Node, we're going to have more of this revolutionary rebellion kind of change energy. In 2021, Saturn and Uranus were squaring. And so they were at battle with each other, right? Are you saying in 2022, Uranus actually has more energy behind it than Saturn does?
Yeah, for sure. Because the North Node is in Taurus and will be aligning with Uranus. And those 2 Taurus eclipses are conjunct Uranus. Like one of
Wow.
them is conjunct Uranus by a degree. I think that's the one in the fall. And then the one in April is like 4 degrees. But like we're getting nodal and eclipse activation of Uranus while Uranus crosses the midpoint of the solstices and the equinoxes. So he crosses the cross quarter point, which is, you know, in the solar gates, the high holy days of the sun, solstices, equinoxes, and the midpoints between them are the 8 threshold moments of the sun. Well, Uranus is going to be crossing one of those key points this coming year while the eclipses and the nodes are activating it.
Wow.
And Jupiter will also sextile Uranus early in the spring.
So if we thought we've gotten a lot of change so far, you're saying that that's going to be even more.
Well, we also got if anybody in America, this is the Pluto return of the United States. So I really see these energies, you know, in relationship to each other. At least I live in America. So, but you don't have to live in America to be influenced by the Pluto return. Like it's, you know, it definitely will have far-reaching impact for everybody.
Okay. So when we're talking about change, what you're bringing in here is that contemplation of what do we actually value, and the change that's happening potentially enabling us to get even closer to those values, even if it's disruptive in the moment. Like you brought up the you know, the shipping and Christmas is ruined idea, but what will some of these disruptions enable in us in order to get even more aligned with our values, and what actually brings us happiness, and what actually brings us fulfillment and meaning in life? I've had this contemplation about the holidays for several years now of like, what are we even doing? And like, this feels so empty and it's not even fun anymore. You know, it was but now it just feels empty and like surfacey and superficial. And how can we bring more meaning into this? And so sounds like we may be forced into answering some of those questions. You're talking about financial changes, things around money and value and finances and things like that. Look
and
like
possessions, what we hold on to. You know, when you look at the Taurus Scorpio axis, which the nodes will be transiting, Taurus is what I hold on to. Scorpio is what I let go of. Taurus is form, and Scorpio is transformation, form that is transformed. And so just really checking in with what we're holding on to, what we need to let go of. Or, you know, some of us might let go too much and then we're not actually holding on to anything. So honest self-check-in with where your growth edge is. And then really just like being more present with the body and emotions is going to be so, I mean, this is part of how we bring the feminine back in. Those are the body and emotions are earth and water. They're the feminine elements. If you want to honor the feminine, honor your body and honor your emotions.
it's super simple and clear. Yeah.
It's literally a way of bringing the divine feminine back into balance.
Wow. Are you done? Like, I know you have to go pick up your daughter at school. Are we there?
4 minutes. Yeah.
4 more minutes?
Well, like a couple more.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to call out about 2022?
Well, let me think.
And what about the nodal shift? Are you seeing any like that
well, that happens in December this year. So the shift will have happened as we start into the new year. And I mean, the thing I've been paying attention to with the nodal shift is that it's going to activate Uranus. But yeah, we can talk about just simply those nodes. The North Node in Taurus, which is so blessed because Uranus is in Taurus, for me, it's very much about honoring the feminine, especially the embodied feminine, Venus in her Taurus, you know, expression, as opposed to her heavenly, more like up in the, you know, heavens cosmic energy that's more Libra because it's air. And this is about like right relationship with money and resource and coming into a deeper space of self-worth and self-love. Those are intimately tied in, you know, and I know this one well because this has been I have Chiron in Taurus and I have a square Venus. So like the Taurus Venus healing journey has been a big one for me. And there's an intimate connection between believing in your worth and value and then being able to open up to more abundance. You have to believe that you deserve it. But then we also need to question, like, what does that mean for us? Does abundance mean I'm driving a Maserati and I'm spending $10,000 on a purse while there's people starving in Africa? And, like, there's also the rethinking of that. But coming into more self-worth and self-love, honoring, play and pleasure and downtime as much as you do, like going after your purpose and raising your family and all the things. The South Node in Scorpio will be interesting. I love Scorpio. It's actually one of my favorite signs, but I'm very like Plutonian. So it's an intense energy, but I love it. But the South Node, it's the karma. It's what we've overdone. It's what we've done too much. It's where we're stuck. And the South Node in Scorpio, while America goes through the Pluto return, will be really interesting because the shadow of Scorpio is control and power and dominance and manipulation. And I mean, even black magic is governed by Scorpio. Nuclear power.
Deception too. Deception
For me is more like Neptune Pisces or, illusion. I guess it could be purposeful. I don't know if I really see Scorpio as deception. I mean, Scorpio likes to hide things. So it's concealed. I'm not going to show you all my cards kind of a thing. But Scorpio to me is more in your face with its shadow and just doesn't care, as opposed to Pisces and Neptune will be like, oh no, the shadow's not here.
Right.
So yeah, the Scorpio South Node, confronting our demons and our obsessions. To me, I call Scorpio the sign of all the taboo topics of society: sex, death, money, power, and control. The things people are obsessed with or afraid of, Scorpio rules them. And so South Node in Scorpio is going to be about facing your obsessions and facing your fears around any of those topics. Like you're either obsessed with it and you're clinging to it and you're going after it, or you're like completely afraid of it and you're shutting it down and you're running away from it. And so, yeah. And I also call Scorpio the eye of the needle. Like I truly feel like it's this eye of the needle moment, like in the Bible, where I have this theory that you're given so many lifetimes with money, power, fame, and then you're given lifetimes with none of it. And then you have to see how you walk the path. Like, can you not get, pulled out of your center with your fame and your power and your money? Can you not forget who you are when you have no power and no fame and no money? Can you stay centered in the true power within? That's the eye of the needle.
Wow. Amazing timing. There is a troll or a spammer in the chat right now talking about scorpionic online strips without clothing. Literally. You just brought up the 5 taboo things, and literally we have a spammer. We will delete these posts. Stop spamming us. But that's literally happening right now as you're speaking. That is just perfect timing. I love when stuff like that happens. Okay. So, I mean, there's so much that you just uncovered for us. I think that taking away from the whole, all of it is this being centered in amongst all this change, really anchoring in who you are, what you value, what's important to you, and staying clear in that. It sounds like that's where a lot of the work is going to be from your perspective. Yeah. Okay. And also the opportunity. So the work and the opportunity. And so beautiful. Harmony, I cannot wait to hear more from you on the USA Pluto return panel. We're going to be talking about the fate of the USA. I know it sounds very dramatic, but it is a really huge pivotal. It's a pivotal moment for the United States, and astrology has a lot to share with us about that, and how, what may potentially unfold, things that you can do to be prepared for changes that are coming, and how you can actually participate in making this change one that has richness and treasures for all of us, because that's what Pluto actually can give us when we meet it and we work with it and we're in it, not trying to run away from it. So lots of beautiful things coming. That Pluto return panel is happening next Friday, November 12th, again featuring Harmony, Rick Levine, Adam Gainsbourg, Michael Bryan. We're going to have a very lively conversation / debate / Q&A / presentations. We will have some handouts and things for you, anybody who registers for this. So check it out, astrologyhub.com/USA Pluto return. astrologyhub.com/USA Pluto return. Can't wait to see all of you there. Harmony, can't wait to see you there. And we'll go even deeper into these topics. So thanks everybody for being here today. Thank you for being a part of our community. And thank you as always for making astrology a part of your life. We'll see you on the next episode.